NFL Power Rankings. It's back. Preseason edition. Man, I know. I fell off, all right? I stopped doing these. I got a new job. I had no time to make these videos anymore. I'm going to do my best to get these out every week, but I can't promise anything, but I will promise that I'm going to get this preseason edition one out. I'm going to let you know where every team stands. You can write it down, take a picture, remember it, do whatever you need to do. Everyone knows that my power rankings are it. All right, man, let's get right into it. Number 32, the New England Patriots. This makes me so happy. You have no idea. As a Bills fan, I was just so tired of watching the Patriots just dominate the AFC East, the AFC as a whole, and somewhat kind of the NFL. Gone are those days. Those days are fucking bye-bye. Brady left a few years ago, obviously. Belichick left last year, can't find a job, which is hilarious to me. And I am just very curious to see how shitty the Patriots are going to be this year without all that going on. It seemed like the only bright spot they had going for them was Matt Judon, and he is now peace out. He threw up the deuces and said, see ya. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Patriots win like 1 or 2 games this year. Like, that's it. The week 1 quarterback is likely going to be a rookie, Drake May, with a rookie head coach, a terrible offensive line, playing in a division like the AFC's where they got to play the Bills twice, the Dolphins twice, the Jets twice. Look at their roster. I mean, like, literally, like, you got to hit pause, go to Google, just type in Patriots roster, and go ahead and laugh. It's absolutely comical. I say all this, but as a Bills fan, like, they play the Patriots twice in the last 3 weeks of the season, the way that scheduling weird shit goes on, and I can guarantee you somehow they're going to screw the fucking Bills out of the playoffs. Number 31, Carolina Panthers. Bro, this team is scary bad, like scary. Bryce Young, he like needs to improve this year. It would be nice, right? As fans, you're like, come on, man, I hope he improves. No, he needs to improve. They brought in some weapons for him, right? Deontay Johnson from Pittsburgh came in, right? Jonathan Mingo, right? But is that enough? Honestly, I don't think it is, right? Because I don't think Bryce Young is that good. I don't think he's going to improve. I don't think he's going to make anybody better. I think he is what we call a bust. Honestly, I don't really even feel like talking much more about the Carolina Panthers. It's starting to make my stomach a little queasy. So let's just move the fuck on. Number 30, the Tennessee Titans. This makes me happy in the face. Makes me happy in the face to watch this team be as shitty as they are. They are one of my most hated teams in the NFL for reasons that I'm not going into because I do not want this video to be 58 minutes long. Will Levis and his mayo-drinking coffee ass, he has some weapons, not gonna lie. I mean, we all saw last year Calvin Ridley came in after being out for a year and just completely dominate, right? Like, he's a great receiver, and now he's in Tennessee. So Will Levis has that. Treylon Burks is not bad. Treylon Burks is a decent, solid receiver. And they brought in Tyler Boyd from the Bengals. I mean, he's got the weapons. He does. Even when he's turning around to hand the ball off, he's got Tony Pollard back there. I don't know why Dallas gave up on Pollard. I like Pollard, right? I just don't know if he's going to do well in this shitty offense. How could it be a shitty offense when you just named all these receivers? Easy, Will Levis. I mean, honestly, what else is there to say? I will say, as much as I hate this team, I actually hate them a little bit less because Derrick Henry's no longer there. Derrick Henry was like the epitome of like, oh my God, right? Derrick Henry's going to grab the ball and go 1 yard, 2 yards, minus 1 yard, 1 yard, and then break a 90-yard run, and at the end of the day, all the stat lovers out there will be like, oh, well, he rushed for 135 yards. He's the king. Man, shut up. Long are the days when I loved this team. Steve McNair, Eddie George, when they first came into the league and had those friggin' jerseys that you've never seen before, man, I used to love them, but now they can go scratch. Number 29, Denver Broncos. Here's the crazy thing. I actually really like Bo Nix. I think in like 5 years from now, he's going to be regarded in the same likes as like how we look at, let's say, a Justin Herbert right now. He's going to be a solid talent who hasn't won shit. The Broncos offense as a whole is kind of terrible, if I'm being honest. I think this season is going to be like a learning experience for Bo Nix, very similar to like Peyton Manning's rookie year at the Colts. He just came in, they went 3-13, they didn't do shit, but he got experience and he learned how to play quarterback. No, I am not comparing Bo Nix to Peyton Manning. Calm the fuck down. I'm just saying it's going to be similar in that regard. I think the Broncos are going to win some games this year because ultimately they got to play the Chargers twice and they got to play the Raiders twice. But they won 8 games last year, and I don't see them doing that again. Number 28, New Jersey Giants. Is Drew Lock really Daniel Jones' backup? I had to Google that. That's the reason why I have the Giants as low as I have them. We all know that Daniel Jones got paid, he got his bag, and then kicked his feet up and pretty much just chilled. He's not a good QB. We all know that. Even Giants fans know that. I mean, it doesn't help that he really doesn't have much talent around him. Hold on, I'm going to read because I can't. I don't remember and I can't memorize their top 3 receivers, so I got to read. Hold on. Malik Nabers, Wendell Robinson, and Darius Slayton. That's what you're giving Daniel Jones to work with. Now, Devin Singletary being brought in the backfield to replace Saquon Barkley. Sorry. Listen, I'm not poo-pooing on Devin Singletary, right? He's an ex-Buffalo Bill. I loved him, right? Motor is his nickname because he just keeps on going. But he's like 5'0", and he's not the type of back that's going to carry an offense. And that run game is going to suffer from a shitty passing game. And I'm afraid that Singletary might get killed, man. I feel bad for Giants fans, right? Being in New York my entire life, I have a lot of Giant fan friends, and as obnoxious as they were when they were always very triumphant and the Buffalo Bills sucked, I feel bad right now because they've fallen so far and so hard. They're such a terrible team right now. And not living in New York right now and being surrounded by these fans have made me actually kind of root for the Giants. So I feel bad that we're going into a season and there's so much hype and you should be excited for a season, but you know that you're going to have a terrible season. You know you're going to be like a top 5 draft pick at the end of the year. And I know that struggle as a Bills fan. I know that struggle and I feel bad. I'm sorry, Giants fans. I am. Number 27, Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels will not have a good rookie season. I said what I said. I meant what I said. How can he? He plays in Washington. He's surrounded by talent, don't get me wrong. Brian Robinson Jr. is the starting running back, and they brought in Austin Eckler to kind of back him up. That seems like a decent tag team running back, right? Terry McLaurin, Johan Dotson. Shit, they even brought in veteran Zach Ertz. This guy is given all sorts of weapons as a rookie, and he's gonna fuck it all up. Because it's Washington. I don't know, man. I don't like the Commanders. And sidebar, it took me literally 2 seasons. If you've been watching my videos, I couldn't say Commanders for 2 years, but I'm finally comfortable with it. But I don't like them. Maybe next year. I don't know. Number 26, Arizona Cardinals. Being a Michigan fan, I should desperately hate Marvin Harrison Jr. because he's from Ohio State. I should, but I don't. The Houston Texans taught me last year that college lines should end when a player gets drafted into the NFL. It took me years. It took me years to get over that, right? Ezekiel Elliott, I cannot stand him, not because he's a Cowboy, but because he's from OSU. But last year watching Houston and actually rooting for Houston, watching quarterback CJ Stroud from OSU throwing the ball to wide receiver Nico Collins from Michigan, kind of made me, all right, I need to calm down with all this shit. All that to say, I love me some Marvin Harrison Jr. I really do. And as a Bills fan, I get to watch him play his very first snaps in a meaningful regular season game when Arizona travels to Buffalo week 1. And I'm fucking excited about it. I am not going to lie. At the end of the day, though, I don't see the Cardinals accomplishing much this year, especially being in a division with the 49ers and the Rams. But it's really going to be fun watching Marvin Harrison because he's probably going to be the offensive rookie of the year. Number 25, the Las Vegas Raiders. Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell are battling to see who gets to throw the ball to the best wide receiver in football. Sorry, not to him, but in his general direction. I don't see either of these quarterbacks being a good option. If it wasn't for the likes of the 3 AFC teams that I've already spoken about, I could possibly see the Raiders being the worst team in the AFC this year. Who's running the ball for this team? Who is in the backfield? It's fine to rebuild and use a no-name running back. That's providing that you have a solid passing game, which they don't. I think it's going to be a long season for the Raiders, and the worst part about it is I keep on hearing rumors that they're going to try and get rid of Devontae Adams before the season starts, and if that happens, they might break records for how bad they will be. Number 24, Seattle Seahawks. Man, do you remember when the Seahawks were known for their defense, their stellar defense? The Legion of Boom? That was the defense that held Peyton Manning and that high-powered offense to 8 points in the Super Bowl. Remember them? Man, those days are gone. I was looking up their depth chart as I was researching these rankings. And as I'm reading through their defensive players, I was like, who? 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 One of their starting linebackers is a gentleman named Terrell Bernard, okay? He was the fourth string linebacker for the Buffalo Bills last year and only got exposure because of all the injuries they had. He's their starting linebacker. Offensively, Geno Smith is still throwing the ball, and he's still throwing the ball to like DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith-Njigba. I love saying that. And even Noah Fant, right? So offensively, they're all right. On top of that, the Seahawks have like one of the most underrated running backs, in my opinion, in the NFL in Kenneth Walker. And Zach Charbonnet is backing him up. I know I didn't say that right, and I don't care. The offense is going to keep this team in games for sure, but I see a lot of like 44-40 losses for the Seahawks. Number 23, Minnesota Vikings. So with the J.J. McCarthy injury, it looks like the quarterback battle is over, and Sam Darnold is going to be the starting quarterback week 1. That's a blow, in my opinion. I'm not going to lie. Not that I thought that J.J. McCarthy was going to, like, blow anybody away. I mean, I'm a Michigan fan, and I know his capabilities, but, like, I don't know if he was going to translate to a solid quarterback in the NFL. That being said, Sam Darnold. Now, I'm fully aware that a quarterback can excel in one program, under one coach and one game plan, and not in the other. Drew Brees is a perfect example of that. He sucked in the San Diego, fantastic in New Orleans. I get that. Maybe Sam Darnold will do well in Minnesota. I don't know. But I'm not betting any kind of money on that. He's got weapons, all right? You got Justin Jefferson, second best receiver in the league. Jordan Addison, while Jefferson was hurt, proved that he's a solid wide receiver. And TJ Hawkinson, I know, is going to miss a bunch of games in the beginning of the year, but maybe he returns right when Sam Darnold is getting his feet down, right? Aaron Jones in the backfield is a solid pickup. My opinion and my prediction with the Vikings is I think they're going to be bad early on. And then around week 15, 16, 17, when we're starting to pay attention to the wild card race, all of a sudden people are going to be like, where the fuck did the Vikings come from? Yeah. Number 22, Los Angeles Chargers. On paper, the Chargers defense looks stacked. Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Asante Samuels Jr. But here's the thing. Year in, year out, the Chargers defense on paper looks stacked. And year in, year out, the Chargers defense sucks. I bring up and start with the defense when it comes to the Chargers because that's really all they've got going for them. Offensively, Keenan Allen, gone. See ya. Austin Eckler, bye. Justin Herbert, overrated. I mean, just kidding. No, fuck it, man. He's overrated. We all know he's overrated. He ain't shit. I'm tired of having his name put in the likes of Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. Justin Herbert is Phillip Rivers reincarnated. Stop it. And he's got plantar fasciitis. Whatever. The Chargers receivers are Joshua Palmer, Ladd McConkey, and DJ Chark. I shit you not. Look at it. Go Google it. I'm not lying to you. Running backs. They just called up Baltimore and said, hey, can you send me your entire fucking backfield? Gus Edwards, oft injured J.K. Dobbins. Like, what are you doing? Like, what's happening? And as I'm sitting here thinking about it, as I'm talking to my phone right now, talking about how bad the Chargers are going to be, I'm really mad that I have them at 22. They should be much lower. Number 21, Indianapolis Colts. I was not a fan of Anthony Richards last year, and I was not surprised when the Colts started winning games after he got injured and Gardner Minshew came in and started playing. I don't think the Colts roster is good enough to compete in the AFC. Their division is so I can see them like being talked about in December, but Jonathan Taylor looks healthy for the first time in what seems like years. Of course, their run game is going to be top tier, right? Especially with Anthony Richards, who is a run-happy Lamar Jackson type quarterback. So outside of Jonathan Taylor and the potential of Anthony Richards being okay, what do the Colts have going for them? It used to be that it was just a terrible division, but I think the Texans are going to take off with that division, so they don't even have that going for them anymore. They're going to have to fight for a wild card, and honestly, I don't see that. Number 20, New Orleans Saints. Man, for years, I have defended Derek Carr. He has so many haters, and I'm not entirely sure why, but I've always defended him. I always liked Derek Carr. Most Raider fans that I know hated Derek Carr and were glad to see him leave. Now, his move to New Orleans, I had high expectations for, but man, I thought for sure the Saints were going to like dominate the NFC South last year because the division is just trash, right? I was wrong. And this season, I'm not making that claim about the Saints. I'm not defending Derek Carr, okay? It might be that I was wrong, which is very rare. We all know this. It's very rare that I am wrong about anything. But I don't think the Saints are going to do well this year, honestly. The only move that they made that's worth mentioning is they brought in Chase Young on the defensive side of the ball. But offensively, I think the Saints are going to be extraordinarily irrelevant this year. Number 19, Los Angeles Rams. So Aaron Donald was retired. That's a big hit for the Rams defensively, obviously. I mean, I'm not saying anything you don't know. The defense as a whole is probably going to be the biggest weakness for this team. The Rams surprisingly made I'm sorry, stop lying. No one had the Rams making the playoffs last year. No one, not a single person. Offensively, they still have Matthew Stafford. He's still throwing the ball to Cooper Kupp. I can't pronounce this dude's name. Puka Nacua? Am I right? Unbelievable season last year. Unreal. No one saw that coming. No one even knew who he was going into the season. Stop it. Stop. You're lying. But was that a flash in the pan? I mean, now, in his second year, do people know about him? Is he going to have a solid year again? Me personally, I think he'll be okay, but I'm not about to anoint him into the upper echelon of wide receiver. I can see it going either way. Either he's good or he's bad. But at the end of the day, we're talking about the Rams here, and I'm telling you, I don't think they're making the playoffs this year. Number 18, Pittsburgh Steelers. Man, I forgot that the Steelers made the playoffs last year. The funniest part about that is the fact that they lost in the playoffs to the Buffalo Bills. And I forgot that they made the playoffs. The Steelers bring in Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, right? That was months ago. And I'm still scratching my head. Like, what are they doing? Like, what's happening here? It's like that fantasy team when you draft, like, Patrick Mahomes and then Josh Allen as his backup. It's like you're going to have, like, an elite quarterback on your bench. Like, I don't understand. I'm not saying that Russell Wilson or Justin Fields or either of them are elite. I'm just saying that they're equal, right? So, like, who are you going to start? Whoever you start, the other guy who's just as good is going to be sitting on the bench almost, like, wasted. This team is so they're weird to me, okay? I'm confused, and that's why I have them roughly around the middle at 18, because I don't know what's going to happen with this team. If you remove George Pickens from the equation, because we all know he's a decent wide receiver, if you remove him, do you know any of the Steelers wide receivers? I don't. Which version of Najee Harris are we going to see, okay? Because there was one year where he was just fucking phenomenal, and then next year he was, like, unheard of. And that was the year I had him on my fantasy team, so that was fucking fun. Just so many questions about this team, and I don't know. I mean, I can see this team making wild card. I could also see this team winning 5 games. So, Number 17, Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, okay? Either you love this guy or you fucking hate this guy. It's so weird. I've never met anybody who, like, felt, like, impartial towards him. They either fucking love him or they fucking hate him. I am somewhere in the middle. I don't love him. I don't hate him. I didn't follow his college career. Apparently, he rubbed people the wrong way. I don't know, man. He plays out on the West Coast in USC. I don't know nothing about that shit. All I do know is the hype that's surrounding him. And that's actually like a bad look because he plays for the Chicago Bears. And honestly, when was the last time the Chicago Bears drafted a quarterback that had hype around him and he didn't succeed? I meant he did succeed. You get that, right? But on the opposite side of that is those quarterbacks that I'm referencing, the Mitch Trubiskys, the Justin Fields. But Caleb Williams has the likes of, I don't know, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet even. I mean, he's all right. He's got tools. He's got receivers. So I'm going to reserve my judgment of him. Until I see what he does on the field for a couple of weeks. I mean, preseason, he played against the Bills. I watched every snap he took in that game, and he looked all right. But I don't see the Bears making a playoff run. I don't know. I just don't. They play in a tough division, and they're the Bears. Number 16, Jacksonville Jaguars. Remember all the hype surrounding the Jaguars at the beginning of the year last year? Some of the experts had the Jaguars going to and winning the Super Bowl. I actually picked the Texans to win the division, and the Jaguars not even making the playoffs. And this year is no different, okay? I think that the Jaguars are extremely overrated. Thankfully, there's not the hype this year that there was last year. People have smartened up, I guess. As a Bills fan, I find it funny that the Jaguars habitually just pick up ex-Buffalo Bills. A couple years ago, it was Zay Jones. This year, it was Gabe Davis. Oh, shit, I forgot. They got their center, Mitch Morse, who I miss as a Bills fan. Out of all the free agent I'm not going to talk about the Bills. Mitch Morse is solid, and that's a nice pickup by the Jags. Trevor Lawrence, every once in a while, will show like a flash of greatness, right? But like the hype of him coming out of college was like unmatched by anybody since like Peyton Manning. And like he was supposed to be like the savior, right? Like the savior of the NFL. And he's done shit since, all right? He had that one playoff game against the Chiefs where he played well. And then, I mean, what else? What else? I mean, can we just move on from this guy? It's known, it's well documented that I am a hater of Trevor Lawrence, and that's never going to change because I think he's very overrated. Number 15, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs have made the playoffs for the last 4 seasons. I'm not kidding. When I read that, I didn't believe it. I had to like go back and like look at previous seasons and shit. They've made the playoffs 4 years in a row. Now that might have something to do with the division that they play in, and then they're winning the division at like 8 and 9 and stuff like that. Maybe. But you know what? Baker Mayfield stepped up last year, took the Bucs on a run, took them into the playoffs, and he got rewarded. He got rewarded with a contract, and he's named the starter going into this season. I'm really curious to see how he does this year, him and the Bucs, to see where they finish. Actually, I'm lying. I couldn't care less about this team. It's one of the more irrelevant teams for me. Number 14, Atlanta Falcons. What kind of difference will Kirk Cousins make for this team? He doesn't exactly have Justin Jefferson to throw the ball to anymore, but Drake London, Darnell Mooney, and Kyle Pitts seems like a legit like options for him. And let's not forget, he's got a stud running back in Bijan Robinson and just a fantastic offensive line. Like he's set up. Kirk Cousins is set up in a very pretty situation. We all know the NFC South just sucks hairy balls. So, I mean, the Falcons have high expectations this year. A lot of people are taking them to win the division and make the playoffs, obviously. Number 13, the Green Bay Packers. Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. I don't want to hear this anymore. I know I'm in the minority, but I'm not sold on Jordan Love just yet. You beat the Cowboys in the playoffs? You beat the Cowboys in the playoffs and are now the highest paid quarterback in NFL history because you beat the Cowboys in the playoffs? It's the Cowboys in the playoffs. Most power rankings that I've read have the Packers in like the top 6 or 7. Like I don't see it, man. I don't see it. Now, I know they brought in Josh Jacobs in the backfield, but honestly, Josh Jacobs is pretty much the same as Aaron Jones. I mean, they were both Pro Bowl running backs, so it's like you take away one and you add the other one. It's not really an upgrade. I'm not sold on their receivers and their playmakers. You're going off of the potential of what they can be. They're not going to win the division. They're not going to beat the Lions, right? So you're going to have to rely on a wild card, and maybe they get a wild card. I don't know, but I'm not sold on the Packers. I have them up here because if I had them where I really wanted them, down in like the mid-20s, people would stop watching this video and be like, I can't listen to this guy. All because you guys are just reading into the hype. I don't see it, man. Just mark my words. Packers are going to be Number 12, New Jersey Jets. I'm going to be honest with you. Everybody knows that I hate the Jets. Everybody knows about my hatred, my burning hatred. But Aaron Rodgers, fairly recently, over the last couple of weeks, has become one of my favorite players because of a comment that he made in one of his interviews. Aaron Rodgers stated that they are the New Jersey Jets because they play in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And if you know me, you know I've been saying this for years. I mean, look, it says New Jersey Jets above my head because they play in New Jersey. I think the Jets have a very talented roster. I think Sauce Gardner is legit. I think he's a top-tier DB. I think Garrett Wilson is a great wide receiver. I think Breece Hall is arguably one of the best running backs in the NFL. I wish the Bills would have drafted him. I love that guy. But we still haven't seen Aaron Rodgers as a New Jersey Jet yet. He's yet to be on the field with this squad in a meaningful game. You know, maybe preseason he played here or there, but he got injured like 30 seconds into the first game last year. And at the end of the day, ultimately, they're the Jets, so they'll find a way to fuck things up. Number 11, Miami Dolphins. If you've watched any of my power rankings ever, you know how I feel about Tua Tagovailoa turning the ball over. Nothing has changed. I think he's still the exact same quarterback. Tyreek Hill is amazing, all right? Like, at first I was just like, whatever, man, he's overhyped. But no, he is. He's legit, okay? Honestly, all Tua really needs to do is snap the ball, turn, and throw it right there at the line of scrimmage or even behind it or maybe a yard or two ahead, and Tyreek Hill will take care of the rest. And that's what scares me. That's what makes this team okay. It's not Tua throwing 40 yards down the field. It's those little short dink passes to Hill and Waddle. The running game in Miami is friggin' solid too. Miami's a solid squad, all right? I'm not going to deny that, right? But I don't think that they're better than the 10 teams I have ahead of them. Number 10, Cleveland Browns. If Deshaun Watson is serviceable, I see this team making the playoffs. But will he be serviceable? It seems like it was like 10 years ago that he was like a great quarterback. He has weapons here in Cleveland. Nick Chubb has always been a stud running back in the backfield. Always. Wide receivers, you got Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, tight end, David Njoku. I love it, Njoku. And they added Jerry Jeudy from the Broncos. It's a solid offense. I really think that the Browns are going to be one of those dark horse teams this year. Number 9, Dallas Cowboys. Man, I was so high on the Cowboys last year. As much as I hate Cowboys fans, I don't hate the Cowboys. I actually like watching the Cowboys and I like seeing them win. But at the same time, when they win, then these Cowboy fans come out and you just want to I defend this team. To people that are non-Cowboys fans, I defend this team, and I hate that about myself. Ezekiel Elliott is the starting running back for the Dallas Cowboys in the 2024 season. Ezekiel Elliott. This is a problem, okay? I understand that you weren't happy with Tony Pollard last year, but your option to replace him was Ezekiel Elliott. CeeDee Lamb is not at camp, and there's so much hype around it. Jerry Jones making comments. He's following up on Twitter with an LOL. The thing I like about CeeDee Lamb holding out is that he's working with his cousin, Keon Coleman, in Buffalo. He's working on his game. I love it. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Luckily, their defense is still solid. You got Micah Parsons, in my opinion, is hands down the best defensive player in the league. But Dak really needs to start playing. He needs to start playing up to the hype and the expectations that Cowboy fans make him out to be, right? Cowboy fans have him as elite. You need to start playing like an elite quarterback. If you don't, this team ain't going nowhere, man. Number 8, Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not high on this team. I don't like them. It's well known. As a Bills fan, I don't like them, but I'm not high on them. Jamar Chase has not reported yet. T. Higgins requested a trade weeks ago. The defense is just quite mid. Zach Moss is their starting running back. Zach Moss was a Buffalo Bill. I know all about Zach Moss, okay? And he's your starting running back. If the Bengals get to 10 wins this year, I'd be amazed, okay? Joe Burrow is going to have to do some shit to get to 10 wins. Number 7, Houston Texans. Last year when the Bills were on a bye week, I went to Houston for a Texans game. They played the Denver Broncos, and I fell in love with the energy that this team has. C.J. Stroud from Ohio State throwing the ball to Michigan player Nico Collins just drove me batty. I already spoke about that earlier. Drove me batty, but I'm over it, okay? I get it. Last year I put money on the Texans to win the division at plus 800. So I rooted for them all year long. I just had a feeling they were going to win the division, and I looked like a genius when they did. I know this is going to sound crazy, and you're going to look at your phone right now or however you're watching this, and you're going to be like, you're a fucking idiot. But the addition of Stephon Diggs is going to hurt this team. I said what I said. The minute he is not the number one primary target and they start throwing the ball to Nico Collins or Tank Dell, he's going to be Stephon Diggs. He's only there under contract for 1 year, and if the Texans were smart, they'd only let him play there that 1 year. Go ahead. Call me crazy. Mark my words. Number 6, Philadelphia Eagles. Can the Eagles get back to greatness? Because they were great, right? Not that long ago, they were great. Jalen Hurts does not get the credit that he deserves. I don't understand why. When you see a top 10 list of quarterbacks, so many times he's not on it or he's at the very bottom, and that shit boggles my mind because he's fantastic. He throws the ball to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. It's how could he not be great? If only he had an elite running back to turn around and hand the ball to. Could you imagine? Wow. Listen, if Saquon Barkley could stay healthy, which is a big if, this Eagles offense has potential. They're going to be scary, fucking scary. But it also seems stuff like that never really works out, right? You build this super team and it's just, I don't know, something always goes wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens here. Number 5, Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson wins MVP again. The Ravens go out, get rid of Gus Edwards, get rid of J.K. Dobbins, and bring in Derrick Henry. This defense looks good again. So what can stop this team besides injuries? The offensive line, maybe? The subpar receivers? Playing in a tough division and even harder conference? I know a lot of people out there have the Ravens as being the team to dethrone the Chiefs. I'm not one of them. I don't know. I think the Ravens are very good, hence me having them ranked this high. But I don't think I have them above the Chiefs or even some other teams.
Number 4, Detroit Lions.
The Lions were clearly the sexy pick last year, right? Everyone had them as like a feel-good story, the first time in like a trillion years that they were actually good. They didn't disappoint, right? They gave everybody what they wanted, right? They made it to the NFC Championship game. They were up by 17 at halftime in the NFC Championship game. This team quite possibly should have represented the NFC in the Super Bowl last year. This season, because of all that, this season the expectations are just skyrocketed higher. They had an excellent offseason. They locked up some really key players. Jared Goff, can he continue? I mean, he's always been shitted on, right? Everybody thinks he's crap. You know, when he got traded away from LA, he was nothing, you know, blah, blah, blah. He's good enough for Detroit. If you watched Receiver on Netflix, he's good enough for Detroit. All that to be said, all these playmakers that they have and these top tier players, this team goes as Dan Campbell goes. Dan Campbell is by far my favorite head coach in football. I follow that dude on TikTok and his videos are just amazing. He is just a motivator, and he makes his team better. And I can't wait to see what he does this year with this team.
Number 3, the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, I know. I am quite biased being a Buffalo Bills fan. I get it. But let's talk about this logically, okay? I know I'm a fan, but I'm going to try and be logically here. Logical. So many people out there, experts, have the Bills finishing behind both the Dolphins and the Jets in the AFC East. Oh my God. All right, I've got 2 words for that. 2 words. Josh Allen. I know. He's overrated. I get it. I know he throws interceptions, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he hasn't won anything. I get it. Now, without Stephon Diggs, he's even worse, right? I'm sorry, as the kids would say, he's mid. Definitely not a Sigma. He was shit before Stephon Diggs came to Buffalo. I remember him taking the Bills to the playoffs with Cole Beasley and John Brown. Like, so stop. And that's when he wasn't Josh Allen yet. He was still young. Stop. Let's talk about Stephon Diggs just for a hot second, because I don't want this video to go that long. Stephon Diggs yelled and screamed at Josh Allen on the sideline during the playoff game against the Bengals, right? And then something happened during the offseason. There's rumors about what happened, blah, blah, blah. But there was definite friction, head-butting between he and Josh Allen. And I guess the Bills didn't want to, or I don't know if it was the Bills or Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, they didn't want the world to know what was going on, so they just force-fed their relationship and trying to make it seem like everything was okay. Dude, the chemistry on the Bills last year just sucked. If you're a Bills fan and you watched every play of every game last year, you know what I'm talking about. Not just highlights that everybody watched, because that was the thing. All these Bills haters that are talking shit this year, they just watched highlights of the games last year where Josh Allen threw 2 interceptions, not seeing everything else that all went into it. Josh Allen was force-feeding the ball to Stephon Diggs, and I'm telling you right now, without Diggs here this year, you're going to see the best version of Josh Allen that you've seen yet. I'm going to go out and say it. You're going to call me crazy, but Josh Allen wins the MVP this year. Josh Allen is going to be free to be Josh Allen, to throw the ball how he wants it and play the game that he wants without having to worry about Stephon Diggs not catching the ball and getting pissed off. That's CJ Stroud's problem now. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Khalil Shakir, he emerged last year, but he literally is the only receiver on the team who has caught a pass from Josh Allen ever. But Josh Allen has some new weapons, right? You got Curtis Samuel is new to the squad. They drafted Keon Coleman from Florida State, who looks fantastic. I'm not going to lie, because I didn't like this guy in Green Bay or Kansas City, but MVS is on the Bills now, okay? He can actually supply some pop, some fucking depth to the receivers that everybody thinks that the Bills have none. But I'm putting it out here, okay? Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, is going to be the next Travis Kelce. He is going to be to Josh Allen what Travis Kelce is to Pat Mahomes. And that's going to start this fucking year. Now, with all that going on, and the Bills throwing little short passes to both Curtis Samuel and Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid as a tight end, that's going to open up some room for the running game with James Cook, who had a breakout year last year. And you know what? Top 5. No, you know what? Fuck that. Top 3 rushing this year. The Bills are going to be way more than fine this year. They're winning the division. I'm not saying what I want to say, but the Bills are not fading off into the black like everybody says. Mark my fucking words. I'm saving receipts. I am saving receipts from all the haters. We'll talk at the end of the year.
Number 2, San Francisco 49ers.
Okay, I have the Niners at number 2, but they very easily could be my number 1 spot. I actually struggled with putting them at number 2 more than I should have. But at the same time, if Brandon Ayuk is not on this roster week 1 and he does get traded like he wants, I might actually freaking drop them down a couple of spots. Christian McCaffrey, okay, he remains the number 1 weapon in all of football, okay? So that's going to put the Niners at least in the top 5 regardless of Ayuk's situation. Between him and an elite defense and Deebo Samuel, if he can stay healthy, yeah, man, this team's the number 2 team. They should represent the NFC in the Super Bowl again, honestly.
Number 1, Kansas City Chiefs.
All right, the Chiefs have some question marks for sure, right? Rashee Rice and his legal issues, that's one of the biggest problems they have. If you remember last year, the entire year, the hot topic about the Chiefs is how they have no receivers. Ultimately, it didn't fucking matter because they won it all. So this year, trying to not make that the hot topic again, they brought in Hollywood Brown, and they drafted Xavier Worthy from Texas. He could be amazing. He's fucking fast. But he also could be a dud. But honestly, as long as the Chiefs have Patty Mahomes and Travis Kelce, the greatest tight end ever played the fucking game, they're always going to be an elite team. In addition to that, the Chiefs are playing in hands down, and I don't care what the fuck you say, the worst division in all of football, okay? Because you take the Chiefs out of this division, you're looking at the Raiders, the Chargers, and the fucking Broncos. Those are 3 of the worst teams in the AFC. And the Chiefs get to play them 6 out of their fucking 17 games. So you know what? Chiefs already lock it down. They've already clinched the playoff spot. We'll see you in the fucking Super Bowl. God, I hate the fucking Chiefs, man.